I'm really excited about today's topic. It's something absolutely crucial, I think, for anyone learning a new skill, staying motivated.
It comes up all the time.
Exactly. And today we're zeroing in on English language learners using insights from a really great resource.
What are we looking at?
It's called English Unleashed with Tom. You might know it's got this reputation for being super clear, very calm, and just incredibly learner-friendly.
Yes. Very practical stuff.
Totally. It feels like real English conversation meeting, useful guidance.
Right.
So our mission today is basically to pull out the core strategies from English Unleashed on how you can keep that drive going. Especially, when you hit those walls feeling tired or stuck or just plain unmotivated.
We've all been there.
Absolutely. We want to find those practical tips that work, whether you're just starting out or maybe hitting that intermediate plateau.
Or even if you're just curious about, how sustained learning actually works psychologically.
Yeah.
And that universality you mentioned, that's really key here. I mean, yes, the source targets English learners, but this challenge, staying motivated, it's everywhere.
True. Any big project, really.
Any long-term effort. Language learning is just such a prime example. And the source doesn't shy away from that. It says flat out, it happens to everyone.
Right. That's quite comforting, actually.
It is. Even native speakers, when they learn something new, they hit similar bumps.
Yeah.
So it normalizes that struggle right from the start.
Okay, so it sets the stage nicely for the practical advice then.
Precisely. It makes you feel like, okay, this is normal. Now what can I do about it?
So let's dig in. How does English Unleashed define motivation to begin with?
It keeps it really simple. It's defined as the feeling that pushes you to do something.
Okay. Straightforward.
Yeah. And it talks about that inner voice, one saying, keep going, don't give up, you can do it.
That internal cheerleader sort of.
Exactly. Not some big abstract theory, just that nudge you feel inside. But crucially, the source points out how often that voice can just fade, go quiet.
Yeah.
And that's when you start feeling stuck or like your progress is snail's pace slow. You might even question the whole point, like, why am I even bothering?
Okay, so it validates those feelings too.
Absolutely. It stresses that these feelings are normal, part of the process, but, and this is the important bit, they're also addressable.
So it's not just wait for motivation to come back.
No, not at all. It shifts it. It's about actively building habits that help you sustain that motivation rather than just waiting passively.
That's a much more empowering way to look at it. Active cultivation, like that. So Tom, in English Unleashed apparently boils this down into 5 simple and powerful ways to get that drive back.
Simple, powerful sounds good. Practical, hopefully.
Very practical, it seems. Designed so you can use them right away. So tip number 1, and this feels foundational, find your why.
The big question.
Right. The source really pushes you to ask yourself, why? Why do you really want to learn English? What's the deep down reason?
And it doesn't just leave you hanging there. It gives concrete examples of what that why might look like, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Things like maybe you want to travel more confidently, explore different places.
Or maybe it's about jobs, new career paths opening up.
Could be. Or for some people, it's a huge life change, like moving to another country where English is essential. And sometimes it's just you love the language. You want to watch movies without subtitles or understand song lyrics or read a book in the original.
Yeah.
That intrinsic passion.
Right. So lots of possibilities. But what does the source say to do with that why once you identify it?
This is where it gets really practical. It says, write it down and also say it out loud every day.
Oh, okay. So make it really tangible, not just a thought in your head.
Exactly. Embed it in your daily routine. It even gives an example phrase like, I want to learn English so I can travel confidently.
You should repeat that.
Yeah, repeat your version of that.
Yeah.
It turns that big goal into something concrete, like a daily anchor.
I can see how that would help ground you, especially on tough days. Making the why visible, audible. Okay, what's tip number 2?
Tip 2 is do a little every day.
The consistency principle.
Right. And what's great here is how it tackles that myth that you need these marathon study sessions.
Yeah, the pressure to study for hours.
Exactly. The source explicitly says you don't need to study for hours. And crucially, you don't need to be perfect either.
That takes a lot of pressure off. So what does it recommend?
A very specific, very manageable amount. Just 5-10 minutes a day.
Wow. Okay. That's really doable.
It is. And it connects to all that research on habit building, Small, regular actions beat massive, irregular ones every time.
Does it give examples of what you could do in those 5-10 minutes?
Yes, very concrete things, like listening to a short podcast, maybe one like this, focused on real English conversation.
Yeah, possibly.
Or watching a quick English video on YouTube, reading just one page of a book, or even just talking to yourself in English while you make coffee.
Simple things. Low barrier to entry.
Totally. The core idea is small steps, big change. It's about that accumulation over time.
Right. Slow and steady.
And there's an affirmation for this too. I can improve with small steps. It shifts the focus away from perfection and onto just steady progress.
Okay, so we have our why. We're doing small daily actions. What's tip number 3?
Tip 3 is use English in your life.
Integration. Moving beyond just study time.
Exactly. It's about weaving English into the actual fabric of your day-to-day, making it part of your environment.
How does it suggest doing that?
Again, super practical ideas like change your phone's language setting to English.
Ooh, brave, but effective, I bet.
Yeah. Or write your daily to-do list in English.
Yeah.
Or here's a fun one. Talk to yourself in the mirror in English for a minute.
Okay. Might feel weird at first.
Maybe. But the thinking behind it is really smart. When English becomes part of your real life, it stops feeling like just study. It becomes yours.
It becomes a tool you actually use, not just a subject you learned.
Precisely. It shifts from study to lifestyle. You start owning the language in a real, functional way.
That makes sense. Less academic, more lived.
And the affirmation here captures that perfectly. English is part of my daily life. It reinforces that integration.
Okay, I see how these build on each other. The why fuels the small steps, and integration makes it real. What's tip number 4?
Tip 4 is all about acknowledging how far you've come. Celebrate progress.
The positive reinforcement loop. Important.
Very. The source really stresses actively recognizing your achievements, even the ones that seem tiny.
Because progress can feel slow sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So what counts as a small win, according to the source?
Great examples given, like, did you understand a phrase in a podcast you didn't get before? That's progress. Celebrate it.
Okay.
Did you learn, say, just 3 new words today? That's fantastic. Acknowledge it. Maybe you managed a short conversation, even if it wasn't perfect. That's a huge win.
Right. So it's not about fluency overnight. It's about noticing the steps.
Exactly. And the source says to be proud of your effort, not just the outcome, but the fact that you're showing up and trying.
I like that focus on effort.
Yeah. And the affirmation supports this. I am improving every day. It's a reminder of that constant, even if gradual, growth. Builds self-belief.
That's really powerful, especially when you feel like you're hitting a plateau. Okay, that leads us to the 5th and final tip. What is it?
The final one is perhaps the kindest. Be kind to yourself.
Self-compassion.
Absolutely. The source is very upfront about the fact that learning is challenging. You will make mistakes. You will forget words you thought you knew. You will feel nervous sometimes speaking.
It normalizes the difficulty again.
Yes. It frames these things not as failures, but as inherent parts of the learning process.
So what's the advice when those things happen?
It's wonderfully gentle. It says, that's okay. That's part of learning.
Simple, but profound.
It really is. It's not about avoiding the difficulties, but about changing your relationship to them. It encourages patience, self-kindness.
Instead of beating yourself up.
Exactly. The core message is just keep going. Build resilience from understanding, not from harshness. And the affirmation here is, I think, incredibly powerful. Mistakes help me grow.
Wow. That really flips the script on errors, doesn't it?
Completely. Turns them from something to fear into actual opportunities for learning, which is, fundamental for sticking with anything difficult.
So those are the 5 tips. Let's quickly run through them again for everyone listening. What does this mean for you on your English journey?
Okay, quick recap from English Unleashed with Tom.
First, know your why. Really get clear on your core motivation.
Second, do a little every day. Consistency is king. Small steps.
Third, use English in your life. Integrate it. Make it real. Lifestyle, not just study.
Fourth, celebrate progress. Notice and acknowledge those small wins. Be proud of your effort.
And 5th, crucially, be kind to yourself. Accept mistakes as part of learning. Keep going.
Yeah, those 5 really cover a lot of ground in a simple way.
They do. And connecting this to the bigger picture, what was the source's closing message?
It really brings it home. The message is keep listening, keep speaking, keep enjoying the journey.
Enjoying the journey. That's key too, isn't it?
Hugely. It reframes it. It's not just about reaching some endpoint of fluency. It's about the process itself, the discovery, the effort, the improvement along the way. that journey is the reward in many ways.
It encourages enjoying the learning, which naturally fuels motivation.
Exactly. That mindset of continuous engagement and actual enjoyment that's vital for any long-term success, language or otherwise.
So that leaves us with a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on.
Okay.
The source clearly says everyone feels stuck sometimes. These tips are practical, grounded in self-compassion. So here's the question. How might embracing this idea of kindness to self, how might that not just help your English motivation, but maybe change how you approach learning any new skill?
Broadening it out.
Yeah, think about it. How could these simple tips, find your why, small steps, integrate, celebrate, be kind, apply beyond just English, to maybe learning an instrument or a new software or getting fitter, anything that requires sustained effort?
That's a great takeaway. How kindness isn't just nice, it's actually a core strategy for growth.
Exactly. Something to consider as you continue your own learning journeys.